basically tell us, do this and do that. And if you find in society, majority of people, number one, what I like to say, we have a lot of sheep mentality, not a lot of lion mentality, in the sense of wolves. Because more people will rather be told what to do than be put in the position of power to have that responsibility, to have all that weight on the show. It's like for you being a lead actor when you were on B&B driving that show. It's a lot of pressure. If you drop the ball, the rest of the show falls. If you're in a lead movie and you're the lead actor of the film, or you're the director of the film, it's your job to lead everything forward. But most people don't want that responsibility. That's why you see most actors in the early stages, and when we first started in this game, you could just be actors. Now the game has changed. You got to be actors, directors, producers to have longevity in your career, because the business, it changes all the time. The same way with power, it changes all the time. You could put Trump, you could put Obama, you could put Reagan, you could put Hillary, you could put whoever in that chair. It doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, we as the people, we decide really in reality our lives. Because at the end of the day, you got to ask yourself, even for you living on this earth, Ron, as long as you have, whether you vote, whether you don't vote, for every situation that you've been in your life, every bad situation. So, for example, we were both at Christoph's funeral. Was the president at Christoph's funeral? Was he?
The president of the United States?
Was he at Christoph's funeral?
I didn't see him. Did you?
No, because he wasn't there.
No.
When you got your first job at B&B, was that a result of your hard work and your talent, or was it with the result of a president? It was a result of your hard work and your talent. Everything that happens in life, in the sense, number one, that I have gone through, it has never been anything to do with who's in power. That's why I don't get involved in politics. I don't care what they do, because at the end of the day, it doesn't affect my life. I am still going to go out there and do what I have to do to live my life. And that's what people need to start doing in order for this shit to end. To go out there and stop living your life, stop going on social media and bickering and fighting and battling of this and that, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. We all die. We all only have one life.
I think what you're saying about, you mentioned before this year, 2020, being so important, and I think that's an important message of people just spending the time to enjoy your life and have a happy life. Get off social media a little bit each day. Don't be obsessed with it. And for me, my main message would be stop listening to the mainstream media. They're making the world crazy with the messages and the hate and the stuff that that they're promoting. I want to say this to everybody that's listening. I don't feel like we have an issue, a pandemic of racism in the United States. I don't feel we have that at all. I don't know any friends that are racist. I don't know any friends that were racist. I haven't lived a life of that at all. I have friends of all different persuasions of everything, including genders and all, and we're all getting along great. But the news constantly promotes they want us to be separated by gender and identity politics. And I don't believe that's actually going on with the world. But the news keeps hammering us with this information to the point where people are getting crazy and people are thinking we have a real racist problem in the United States. Maybe there are circumstances that happen, but I don't think it's a pandemic of it. I think most people get along great, but you don't hear about the people getting along great. You hear about the stuff that, you know, the couple of problems that happen, like the one building that's burning in the city, that's what the news is going to show you, and it makes it look like the whole city's on fire. The one incident that happens, they're going to show you that one. When the 99 and 9/10 and 999% of the percentage stuff is fine. But we are so affected by the news now that it's hard to get away from it unless you literally stop listening to all that stuff and start living your life, just like you said.
Well, I mean, as I said, I mean, when it comes to the racism issue, I mean, I've dealt with it my whole life, and I've never been a person that's tried, other than the situation that you know about, shared a couple of weeks ago that happened with me in the mall.
Mm-hmm.
That for me was the very first time I publicly ever had to speak on something, because it wasn't about even a black issue. It was an issue in the fact that that shit is going on, and that's been going on for a long period of time. And the thing when it comes to the racism situation, even when it comes to politicians, because you have politicians that will go on the news and they'll say, just like you said, we don't have a racism problem in my city, or I don't know about a racism problem. And the thing is, when people say that to me, it's usually people, number one, who are of the opposite skin color of me. So you're not going to have that problem because you're not in my situation, or people that look like me in my situation. The difference is that we can't turn a blind eye to it. It's been going on for decades. It's going to be going on when I'm no longer here. So the only thing that we can do right now, and as I said, right now, if this wasn't 2020, where we weren't at home, glued to our phones, glued to our TV, all the things that you're seeing on the media, all the things that you're seeing in your face every day, you'd be oblivious to it, because you'd be at work, you'd be taking care of your families, doing whatever you got to do. So it wouldn't cross the radar on your radar screen as much as it's doing right now. And to me, right now, shining a light on it is not a bad thing, because people have been blinded by it for so long. Are they doing it in a way that is constructive? No. But on the other hand, as I've said before, sometimes you have to stir a little chaos to bring change.
Well, Dee,
Nothing has ever happened. Yeah.
let me ask you. You've been around the entertainment industry for so many years, and you have a
26.
lot of friends in all different capacities of the business
Mm-hmm.
that we've been doing for many years. Other than your experience a couple of weeks ago, which you told me about, have you, in general, experienced like a massive amount of feeling of racism against yourself? Or has it been a small percentage that it's irritating and you can't stand it when it happens? None of this can happen. I've had certain things happen to me as well, but the percentage in comparison to all my friends and all, I know we all love you, and we have a lot of friends in common, and I've never known anybody say anything bad about you ever, or even I don't see your color. I don't see any of that shit. I don't see any of that. But I'm asking, is your experience in your life really great, or is it fortunately a smaller percentage, but it still happens sometimes?
When I was younger, where I grew up, where I was, a lot. It was heavy. But for me, it's what drove me into the business. It was what drove me to, when people said, even in the get go, when they were like, because you're trained, I think, when you're in this business. Most people, I mean, there's not many people like us, Ron, who dabble in all spectrums. There's only a few that will stay on some people just want to be actors and that's all they do. But for me, I was always a person that said knowledge is power. And I already have a disadvantage against me because of the color of my skin tone. That's just period. That's just the way it is. But I can use it to my benefit in the sense of I can navigate through this crazy business with my brain and take the things and the experiences that I've gone through, even with racism growing up, saying, okay, I can use this as a person that, because I mean, I have friends, for example, who are of my skin color, and they're always like, when they lose a job or an opportunity doesn't happen for them, they're like, I didn't get this opportunity because I was black. And I was just like, you know what? When you keep pushing that narrative over and over and over and over and over again, either one or two things happen. Either people look at you as a problem and they view everybody in that race category as that problem, or it's you. You, number one, not believing in yourself that you're making this a problem for yourself. So for me, I was like, you know what? I know it's there. I know it's there. And I grew up with a lot of Italians. My friends used to call me Black Machismo growing up as a kid because I literally was around Italians my whole life. I did business with Italians. I was friends with Italians. I even dressed like an Italian at one point growing up as a kid. I had the Indian motorcycle gear and everything else, and I went through my phases. But it was more or less for me saying to myself, okay, I can use this as a way to get in because I had a business partner and he was black, but he was mixed. And a lot of times when I would come into a business meeting, you get the looks, you get the assumptions, you get, whoa. So I said, you know what? I'm going to navigate through this. I'm going to have my business partner, who was half black, but he didn't look black. I'd set up the meeting. He'd do all the talking. And that helped me navigate into certain meetings with people that I probably wouldn't have got the opportunity to because, again, there's just that stereotype. But once I was able to, I guess you would say, plant my foot in, I always had a plan. It's like a soldier in a mission. You have one directive to complete your mission, to get to the next mission. So for me, it was like, okay, I started off in music. When you hear music, it's the one thing, all of us. You're a musician, I'm a musician. Music, as what they always say, is the universal language of love. It resonates with everybody. There's everybody that has a song or a moment in time in their life when they hear a song that just hits that spot. It connects us. When something is going on, when you're feeling really, really down, you put music on. When you're feeling really happy, you put music on. So for me, I was like, okay, I'm going to be a musician. I'm going to entertain. I remember the first time I performed in Hawaii in the hula bowl game, and we did the hula bowl parade, and I was like drumming, and I remember like it was yesterday. It was 1993, and there was this little kid in the parade route, and he was there with his mother on her shoulders, and I had to do a drum solo, and the kid was like, "Mommy, look at how fast his hands are moving." And I stopped and I gave a little nod to the kid. But it was in that moment for me why it affected me so much because I'm going, you know what? In that moment, it wasn't about my color. It wasn't about it. It was about that this person saw something special that they enjoyed, and I was able to give that gift to somebody for that moment, for that kid to remember. And what made me say to myself, okay, I want to go to the next level. So it was like I went from music to the club industry. And then I started running nightclubs at an early age. And I did that for like 15 years, creating environments for people to come and de-stress and have a night out, have a drink, make a love connection. That was my next thing, saying, okay, it's not about black, because when you're in a nightclub, I've always said a nightclub was like Disneyland. You had different races from different organizations of people, black, white, Chinese. But what's the thing that connects them again? Music. You go to a nightclub, everybody's listening to music. They're not caring whether you're black, because we're all listening to the same shit and having a good time to de-stress. The 90s for me, as I said, it was a different time because, again, the racism was there, but